Hi, this is Bonnie, and I'm super excited today because it's the first day I get to share some new fairy hugs that came out. And first of all, we have a brand new paper. It is called EveningField, and I will be sharing a video just showing the paper. But for today, I am going to make a card using the new paper and part of the new release. So I'm going to show you the paper that I'm using from the pad. And that is this paper. And it's raining outside, so I don't have the best light today. So I hope that doesn't mess up what you can see in terms of the paper, because it's really pretty. And a little bit of the sheen you're seeing is the reflection from my lights. So let's go ahead and I'm going to show you my the stamps rather that I'm going to be using. And the first one is a sentiment, and it's called Allow Yourself, and it says, like wildflowers, you must allow yourself to grow in all the places that people never thought you would. And then we have, this is called a honey wand, or some people call it a dipper. And you could use it in many different ways. On the side, it could be this way, or it could even be this way. Lots of versatility for this stamp. We have some new foliage. It's called a berry twig, and you can see the little berries on that. And then we have a trumpet vine and a small bee. I'm hoping that you're understanding what this new collection from Fairy Hugs is going to be. It's giving you a little bit of hint down here in the bottom. And then we have a Floral Hive, and this has, it's really pretty with that. Wish my lights weren't giving me such a problem. But we have a flower here and a flower up here and some bricks at the bottom. This will be really pretty stamp, because the part you see that's white will show through anything that's behind it, will show through that color. And then we have our bee, and her name is Bee, but it's B-E-A, and she is really sweet. You can really see the detail better, and I'll try to show that to you better as I'm stamping. So I'm going to go ahead and get my stamping platform all set up. Hopefully I can talk a little bit better, and we'll get going. Okay, so I have everything arranged on my stamp platform and what I'm hoping to accomplish. And I want to put the trumpet vine behind the floral hive. So didn't really want to do a lot of masking, so what I am going to do is use Morning Mist, but I wanted to make sure I had everything in a position that would work. So get that set up and do some stamping. So we got that set there. Then I'll take everything else off, and I know what we're going to be doing. So the first thing I'm going to do is use, like I said, Morning Mist. And I'm hoping I don't have to stamp it twice, because I really do want it to be lighter. And my intention is I will be coming back with Prismacolor pencils and coloring these in. And I really, because it's a new stamp, I should have had, here we go. That's stamped perfect. That's exactly what I want, but I really need to keep that magnet down on that paper. It did. It looks really gorgeous. Look. That was just one stamp. So, next thing is I'm going to go ahead and do the hive. I think I was going to put some of the trumpet vine on the other side. Nope. I'm going to use the little berry twig instead on this side. So I'm going to actually put that on before, whoops, I think I had it the other way. Because I had kind of like practice with this, what I was going to do. I think I'm going to go this way. So, whoops. So we were using both of those. We're using that too. So that works. And again, this could really be, because it's not going behind, it really could be the Nocturne. But I'm going to use the Morning Mist, because I'm going to do some coloring on that too. I really love the florals and the foliage in this release. They are really nice size. Okay, That's perfect. I really, really like this. It's like one of my favorites. Okay, and now I think I will go ahead and add, whoops, it goes the other way. I'm going to add that in Nocturne. And get that set up. Make sure it's not too sticky, because whenever you get this, they are a little bit sticky when you stamp for the first time. And I always kind of like try to rub a little bit with my hand, or sometimes I'll even tap it against my clothes just to get a little bit of the stickiness off. Doesn't do anything to my clothes. All right. I'm so excited about this release. I couldn't wait to stamp it. I think it's just so pretty. Right. Okay. And this one also would be really pretty stamped in. Well, the flowers are on it, so I guess I wouldn't stamp it in brown. You could stamp part of it in brown if you had a small ink. It would be pretty. Because I intend to color the flower in a little bit too. Trying to let that release a little bit on its own. Needs a little bit more ink in the center. See, using this paper, using this, it's kind of a golden yellow paper, works really good with a bee theme. And I purposefully put this hive on this part because it was more of a golden color. It works really well with this paper. There we go. Oh, I love that. Look at that. It's so pretty. All right. So now for the next step. And we are going to be adding the bee, but before I add the bee, I want to make sure my sentiment is in the right place so I have room for both. And I do if I do it that way. So I'm going to set her up. And like I said, this is all I do, is to try to take a little bit of that. I think the oils from my hand probably take a little bit of that stickiness away. And get her all set up. She has a lot of really nice little details on her. I mean, I'm hoping that you'll be able to see even in her skirt. Okay. Again, I'm going to stamp her in Nocturne. She's like more of the focal. I always like to have a focused stamp, and I like to make that a little bit darker. Unless I'm going to be coloring it, unless the coloring of it is going to make a difference, then I don't. Okay. Again, I forgot to put that magnet back on. She needs to be stamped again. And you know, I always forget to ink up my pads when I go to start a new release, and I really should. All right, let's see. Yes, you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Look at her skirt. Can you see the little itty bitty lines in her skirt? That just kind of like gives, I don't know, I just really like the detail of her. She's just really sweet. All right, she even has a little itty bitty pearl necklace. Can you see that? It's super cute. So, and it'll be really good to use your gold glitter gel pen in this too. It'd be really pretty. All right, so our next step is the sentiment. I'm gonna make my magnet stay on there this time. All right, make sure I'm getting myself lined up. That looks pretty good. And make sure my sentiment's right way around would be nice. Okay. And like I said, mine has a grid on it, and you can really double check As long as you've got your paper lined up straight in the grid, your sentiment should also line up. That looks good. And I'm using Nocturne for the sentiment. All right, that looks great. I think I'm going to add a little bit more though. I think I want it just a tad bit darker. There we go. I really like that. Okay, one other thing I was considering doing is adding the honey wand to the bottom here. But I don't know that it's necessary, because I kind of like it the way it is without it. Oops, that's the wrong way around. Anyway, let's see. Yeah, I would go this way, but even still I could do it either way. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's necessary. It doesn't really add anything to it, so I'm not going to use that in this particular card. All right, I always kind of like have a plan and then see how that works out. I do know that I am going to add some of the trumpet vine up here at the top. I need to move that over and put my magnet back on. And I also am going to need to have some paper along the side because I know I'm going to be going off. Let's see if this will fit. Where's my... All of a sudden I've lost my paper. Of what that... Oh, there it is. Because I am going to add a little bee, I think, too. That came with it. See, so it goes like this. I wanted to make sure that I had room on this side so I'd be able to close my lid. And I can. It's just on the edge, I think I can. Okay, let's see. Yep. All right. That is going to be Nocturne, or not Nocturne, but Morning Mist. All right. Yeah, it looks really, I like that. Okay, I don't know if I'm going to add just a little bit more. If I do, I'm going to have to move this whole thing, which is okay. If you don't mind waiting just a second. I'm going to have to move this whole thing over just a bit. That works. Okay. And again, I'm just going to add just a little bit. Well, if I can, yeah, I can. There we go. It still fits on. And you could, that's the thing that's nice about this, you can rotate it. It doesn't have to be exactly the way, you know, you can rotate, which is what I really like, as long as it looks like it's part of it. Because these up here are hanging down, but this can come from the side and still look like it's part of it. And that works really good. Probably could even put some up here. Just to frame it out. I might even come down here and put some more. I'm having fun. Okay. Like I said, this is very, whoops, I already hit that, but that's all right. Just gonna make sure I cover that up. Okay. Oops. Yes. All right, so that works really good. That's framing her out. I think I'm gonna go ahead and add a little bit more down here as well. Move my paper. And so I don't get that bump in the side, I'm going to slide it over. Okay. Where's my... Alright, so this is the way it goes, but I really want the flowers to be shown a little bit more, so I'm going to flip it. I'm going to go like that. I really, really like the fact that I have these, the printed example on these really is helpful to see where I want to place things. All right. And we're using Nocturne still, not Nocturne, Morning Mist. All right, I need a little bit more ink down there in that corner. I don't want it to be too dark. Still don't have it. All right, I'll lightly tap that. I just want that little bit. Okay, it's a little bit darker, but not that much. Now I'm going to take advantage of that cute little bee that's in here and have him go throughout. I think you can use him several times, actually. And make sure he's in here, not off the page or off the paper. The tiny ones tend to stick to your fingers, so again, I'm going to use the oils on my hand so it doesn't do that so much. All right. I think that, whoops. Okay, he's on there. I'm going to try with Nocturne. Not Nocturne, but a Morning Mist. And if it's too light, I'm going to stamp it twice. Yeah, I want him to show up more than the flowers, so I'll stamp him twice. Which will make him just a little bit darker, but not as dark as the Nocturne. All right. I always, like I said, I have to test this out. All right. I think I like him here. All right. That looks good. Again, I'm using Morning Mist. Whoops. Looks like it. I must have put, if you push too hard on these little ones, they will blur. And I think I might have pushed too hard. But that looks okay. Okay. Got him there. We need to kind of like threes, don't we? Anyway. I'm trying to see if I can. Let me move my magnet. I think he's just going to go there. He's leaving that flower. He's done what he needs to do. So let's see. There he is. So that sheet is not going to fit there. So alrighty. That will be the last thing we stamp. Again, I pushed, I think, too hard. So, like I said, learn from me. Don't push too hard. Just push lightly. And it looks great. All right. So, we have finished stamping our card. And I'm going to be doing some coloring on some of these and adding some gold glitter pen, I think. So, I'm going to pull some of that stuff out and see what I'm going to do. Okay, so the rest of the video will be me showing you how I am going to color up some of these images, stamps. For the big flower and the flowers around the Floral Hive, I am using Scarlet Lake, which is 923. It's just more of a darker red, and that would work for it. And I'm just coloring in the outlines of the flower. It's not really coloring the black on this one, although I do have, it's just small, so I didn't use one of my pencils that color on black. I just thought it just needed a little bit of color, and I think it works fine, because it gives the look of a of a red flower doing that if you just color the outlines. And that works really well. So that's what I'm doing with those. And you can see I started coloring the trumpet vine, and I'm using a brighter pink for that. So let me get that. I'm just about ready. One more flower there. If I happen to miss one, I'll figure it out before I take the photo. Oh, and I think I'm going to go ahead, and you see these little berries here? They're teeny tiny, but I am going to go ahead and color those in to add a little bit more color. I really, really love that. But I've already said that, haven't I? Okay. So the next color I'm going to be using for the trumpet vines is, this one is a neon pink, and it's 1038. And I'm basically coloring the outside of each flower. And then the inside of each flower, I'm using a lighter pink. Just to give it a little bit of fun coloring for me. It's not a big deal. So you can see, and I'll do that for the top too, but I'm not going to do it right now because you can see what I'm saying. So each one, like I said, I'll color the outside with a little bit brighter and the inside with a little bit lighter. But it does give it a little bit of color to your card if you want color. So the letter color that I used is just pink, and it's 929, and I'm just going inside of each one of those flowers and using the pink. And I think you can see it's pretty simple coloring, which is really nice if you want to add color. Okay, I think I missed the one in the bottom, but that's okay, I'll get it later. So that's what I'm doing for the flowers, and I'll do that for the top as well. I'll color these up there the same way. And then I also have a green, and this one is apple green, and it's 912, and it's kind of subtle, but again, because I'm coloring in those lines at the same time, it's giving me a hint of green. And I'll do that again for the ones at the top. I'm going to add some green over here as well. You might have a pencil that's darker than this one that shows up better. I just always test in a little tiny, like I would test down here just to see if it's the right color that I want, because it doesn't really matter down in the corner. Sometimes you don't really notice it, just a teeny tiny bit. I test. I like to get the little base of the flower green too. So it's really, really, really subtle, but it does add a little bit of color, as you can see. Not a lot, just a little bit. And it also makes the bee stand out a little bit more. So that's kind of like what I'm going to do for the flowers. Oh, over here too, I am going to go ahead and add that same green, because it's a twig, but you could add it, the green, or you can add brown, whatever you want to do. But the leaves, definitely, I'm adding the green. And they're not very big. It doesn't take very long. And just gives a little bit of color. Okay, so for the fairy wings, I am going to be using like a darker turquoise. It's called aquamarine. And I'm going to start closest to the fairy with a darker color, because it would be where the shadow would kind of be. And kind of follow underneath her arm a little bit, and a little bit on top. And then where it dents in, lots of times I'll add the darker color, depending on what it just depends on what the shape of the wing is and how it sits over the wing on the top. And again, I'm going to color a little bit underneath the arm there. And this one overlaps. And again, I'm going to hit that little dent. I call that like a, I don't know how to say it, I call it a dent. And the bottoms, lots of times, of the wings will be the part where the light doesn't hit as much. Okay, So then I chose a blue, but it still has kind of like, well, it's not blue, but anyway, to me, it matches really well with this if you want a contrast. It's not a real, here, it's not a real subtle, you know, I mean, it's subtle, it's not a really, so it blends well. Let's just put it that way. And this one is non-photo blue, and it's 919. And I'm just gonna kind of like blend out from that. See, it's not a real big difference. If you want more of a contrast, your first one or your first one should be darker. If you really want a major contrast. I just like it so that it does blend, but you don't want it so that it doesn't look like it's two different colors. I like it to blend into the other. All right, so that's that. And then the last color I like to use is my favorite, powder blue, which is pretty much already taken away from me constantly making it sharper in the pencil sharpener, sharpening it. And the lighter colors tend to dull the stamped image. You can see how it makes it a little bit more cloudy, because that's what it does. And I kind of like go over the whole thing. And I know I've showed you this in other videos before, so it's the same concept, just different colors. So those are her wings and what she would look like on there. And then, like I said, I would go ahead and use the, this is a Pentel Sparkle pen, and it's the gold one. And so then what I do is I go through, like, see these stripes in here? I will just color those in to get a little bit of sparkle. I like the sparkle. And if you like glitter, this is a nice way to get glitter without having glitter everywhere. And then I'm also, I think you can see that on her, see the necklace that she has? I can't make those dots the same size, but I just lightly go over them just to get a little bit of a sparkle. See that? And so then what I do is I really do like the background from the paper on the hive, but just to highlight a little bit, like I have the fairy. You see all these parts where they would strap the reeds or whatever it is together that you make a beehive. I'm just going to highlight those lightly. That's a little bit more coloring, but that's what I'm going to do for the entire thing. And let's see if I can get that to show up. Yeah, there it is. Wait for a second. Anyway, it does look good. It does look good for real. If you see it for real. So I'm not going to sit there and color all those, but it is relaxing. So I'm going to do that for the entire hive. And then the other thing is the bees. I am going to give them a little bit of blue to theirs, but I'm not going to make it, you know, the detail. I'm just going to use the middle color blue that I use, the what's it called? Non-photo blue. And just add a little bit of blue. I think you can see that. A little bit of blue to their wings, just so that they have a little bit of color. And I've got 3 bees. And then again, if you have watched my other videos, you know I like to add glitter to the wings, but I use an acrylic paint that is a hologram paint. And it's made by Folk Art. It's called Extreme Glitter. And this one is, whoops, yeah, I know it's a hologram. The other one, this is the second bottle I've had, and it said it was hologram, but I'm trying to see if it does say in here anywhere. It just says grow. Anyway, this one just has the whole, This one doesn't say particularly. But anyway, you can see it's a hologram one, and that's exactly what it looks like. So I shake that up, and I just use my cap, because my cap is all I need to paint these wings. And then I use my brush. And let's do her first. Now, what I've learned is if I put any of that gold sparkle pen on her wings first, this is acrylic and water-based, and so is the, I think, so is the pen, the glitter, the gel pen. So it basically kind of erases it, dilutes it. So if I want to add the gold glitter, I have to do that last. It'll go on top of it once it dries. So I usually wait for the glitter paint to dry. Can you see that? It's really pretty. Right now it's wet, but by the time I get going, you'll be able to see what it looks like dry. It's really pretty. I do this to all my wings. And like I said, you don't have to worry about glitter falling off because it's just painted on. And because it's acrylic and wet, it does not harm in any way the paper. The paper, the Fairy Hugs paper takes this amount of water fine. And not only that, but I've even stamped with a stencil that's wet on top of the paper, and I have not had any problem. So, but you know, you always have to be careful. It is paper, isn't it? So I just always test things a little bit, see how it goes. So each bee wings, I'm also adding, I'm also adding that paint. All right, and I want to do that before I colored the bee body because I was afraid I would mess that up. So now you can kind of see the glitter on her wings. It's just really, really pretty. And you can kind of see it on the bees. And it's just that little extra touch I like to do. And then again on the bee body, I just add right where I just add the gold to there where it would be a yellow stripe. And other than finishing off the card, by coloring in the rest, as I told you, I'll color in the flowers, and then I'll put this on a card base. So that's a little bit of sparkle there. Okay, so I'm going to show you, and that's what kind of like the look you're going to get if you do it that way. So I probably will put a little bit of ink down here, or you know what I can do? I have the right color, and I do. You can also use a colored pencil. If you don't want to pull out paper and ink up something, this one happens to be a French Gray 70, and I didn't color in I meant to do that though too, honestly. I didn't color in the bricks underneath, because they should be a little bit different than the hive. So I just, like I said, I just lightly color this in. I start out a little bit hard pushing down when it's closest to the shadow, and then as I color away, I lighten my touch so it's not real dark. I'm going to go ahead and use the same French Gray on my bricks. Normally I'd use a different color. I have grays that work too. All right, so what I do for this, you really can go by the artist. Here, let's get a little closer. You can really go by the artist's indentations. And so if you color those in dark first, and then you come back with a lighter gray, it works really good, and that goes really quickly. See how I'm just coloring in some of those dots and dents, if you want to call it that, in the bricks? That's what I always do. In fact, if you watch my other videos, you see that that is what I do. And then I would use a lighter color, and I do have a lighter color here. And this is Putty Beige. And that will even soften the black because I'm coloring on top of it. So it looks a little bit different, so it doesn't look all like one color. The hive has a different color. But that looks like bricks. And you could get a darker color even and make that even more defined than that. Because looking at my picture, it doesn't look very dark, but it does look good. So I'm using, this is chocolate, just because I want it to look darker. And that's how you do it. Whenever you go to do something, you want it to have the contrast. You got to put the contrast in using darker colors. I think that gives it a little bit more contrast. All right, So I think you can see the difference between the two. And that works really good. You can do more coloring. It just depends on what you want to do. So I thank you again for stopping by, and I hope you're enjoying this new release. I have more to share with you because there's a lot more in this release. Thanks so much.